You're standing in line, your phone is dead, 30 seconds pass, and something inside you starts to itch. You reach for your pocket anyway, nothing there. The itch gets worse. That feeling has a name. You've felt it 1,000 times and dismissed it 1,000 times, but the real answer to what boredom actually is turns out to be far stranger than nothing to do. Boredom isn't empty. It isn't a gap in your day, it's a signal, a very old one, and your brain built an entire alarm system around it long before phones, long before books, long before fire. Start with what boredom feels like in your body. Your muscles get restless. Your mind starts wandering to things you don't even want to think about. Time slows down in a way that feels almost physical. Psychologists call this duration distortion. 10 minutes can feel like 30. Why would your brain do that to you on purpose? Because it's not punishing you, it's warning you. In 2014, psychologist Timothy Wilson at the University of Virginia ran an experiment that sounds almost like a joke. He put people alone in a room with nothing to do except one option: press a button and give themselves a mild electric shock. No phone, no book, just their thoughts, and a shock button. Most people had said beforehand that they'd pay money to avoid being shocked. Within 15 minutes, alone with their own minds, a large share of them pressed the button anyway. Some pressed it dozens of times. They chose pain over stillness. That's not a story about willpower. That's a story about how unbearable an unoccupied mind can feel to a species that was never built to sit still. Because here's the part almost nobody thinks about. For most of human history, you were never doing nothing. Even at rest, your ancestors were watching the tree line, listening for a snapped branch, tracking the position of the sun. Rest wasn't empty, it was low-grade vigilance, dressed up as stillness. Boredom, in that world, was dangerous. If you stopped noticing your environment, you stopped surviving in it. So evolution didn't give you the ability to relax into true nothingness. It gave you a mind that treats prolonged nothingness as a problem to be solved, immediately, whatever the cost. That's why you reach for your phone before you've even registered you're bored. Your brain isn't asking what's interesting, it's asking what's out there that I'm missing. That question used to keep you alive. Now it just keeps you scrolling. But here's the twist almost nobody expects. Boredom didn't just keep your ancestors alert, it made them inventive. Psychologist Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire ran a study where she had people do something deliberately dull first, like copying numbers out of a phone book before asking them to come up with creative uses for a plastic cup. The bored group came up with more original ideas than the group who hadn't been bored first. Boredom, it turned out, was pushing their minds to wander somewhere new just to escape the dullness. Think about what that means. The very discomfort you spend your whole day trying to eliminate might be the exact thing your brain uses to generate its best ideas, not despite the itch, because of it. There's a reason so many people say their best ideas come in the shower or on a long drive or folding laundry. Nothing to grab your attention, nothing to consume, just your mind, restless, searching for somewhere to go. And so it starts connecting things it wouldn't connect otherwise. Researcher John Eastwood at York University describes boredom not as nothing to do, but as the uncomfortable feeling of wanting to be engaged and failing to connect with anything around you. It's not the absence of stimulation, it's a mismatch. Your mind is asking for meaning, and nothing in front of you is answering. That reframes almost everything about how you treat this feeling. You've been taught boredom is a void to fill as fast as possible, but it might actually be a request. A request from your own mind to go looking for something worth paying attention to. And this is where the story gets uncomfortable, because look at what you actually do with that request. The moment boredom shows up, you kill it instantly. A screen appears, a feed refreshes, a notification blinks. You never sit inside the discomfort long enough to find out where your mind was about to wander. That gap, the 10 or 15 seconds between feeling bored and reaching for a distraction, used to be where ideas were born, where plans got made, where problems got quietly solved in the background of your thoughts. You've engineered that gap almost completely out of your life. Every app on your phone is built by people who understand exactly what you just learned. They know boredom is unbearable to you at a biological level. They know your ancestors' survival system treats an unoccupied mind as an emergency. So they built something that answers that emergency in under 1 second every single time it fires. That's not an accident. That's a design choice built on top of a few 100,000 years of evolution you never agreed to. Which raises the real question underneath all of this. What have you stopped noticing because you're never bored anymore? Not the tree line, not a snapped branch, but your own thoughts. The ones that only show up when nothing else is competing for your attention. The unresolved conversation you've been avoiding, the idea for something you actually want to build, the quiet realization that you're unhappy with something you've been ignoring. Boredom used to be the doorway to all of that. Now the doorway barely opens before something slams it shut again. Here's what's strange. The generations before constant stimulation didn't have less boredom. They had exactly the same biological itch you have right now. What they had was fewer tools to escape it instantly. So the itch had to go somewhere. It went into conversations, into long walks with no destination, into staring at a wall until an idea showed up because there was nothing else in the room to look at. You still have that same mind. It hasn't changed. Only the escape routes have multiplied. So the next time you feel that restless itch in a waiting room, or at a red light, or in the 10 seconds before your phone unlocks, consider not reaching for anything at all. Consider sitting inside it. Not because discomfort is noble, but because that itch is one of the oldest systems in your entire body, still trying to do the job it was built for, still trying to point you towards something worth your attention. You were standing in line, your phone was dead, 30 seconds passed, and something inside you started to itch. That itch wasn't empty, it never was.